4th of April, 2186. One of my officers on my super destroyer dropped off my journal back to me. They said it was located with some incoming supplies we got from Super Earth. Listening back to it was interesting and terrifying at the same time, if I'm to be honest. Some of this information is useful to know, though, and it's something that I'll be reporting to the commanding officers and ministries back on Super Earth. I am a Helldiver, and I dive for Super Earth, and this is unacceptable if divers are going rogue and to this form of chaos and tactics that they do. I am just trying to do my part in the war effort and for Super Earth and for democracy. So it's something that I have to do, is report this type of dissonance and this information back to those that know what to do better with it than I do. This is something that all I can do is just keep my eyes open for the future and out on the field and out on dives. I just returned from a dive on Rigra Bay, that's under the Squid's control. I located an SOS beacon by a group of Helldivers on the planet and wanted to contribute my part to their cause and to help out on the ground. I wore a different armor this time, the DP-11 Champion of the People armor and helmet, and the light of eternal liberty cape on my back. I think in my mind, and just almost feeling it in my bones, after hearing the journal back, I wanted to have my liberty and my love for managed democracy and for Super Earth to shine out in the field with the other Helldivers. Just to be a beacon of light as best as I can while I'm out there, and to show that support. I want to be there for other Helldivers as much as I can, and I try to do my part. I've been trying to change up some weapons as well recently here, using the breaker incendiary shotgun this time. I did still have the grenade pistol on my belt and incendiary grenades at my side as well. My stratagems were the Gatling barrage, the laser cannon, the guard dog, and the machine gun sentry. The masses of voteless on the planet were quite numerous, it sounds like, so just that extra firepower was great to have against these masses of our enemies. After gathering all of my gear and stratagems and everything, I landed in the city close to my fellow Helldivers and already was firing upon our enemies, and quite frankly, shit was already hitting the fan pretty well. An overseer was right next to me, and I aimed my shotgun and just unloaded it into them and cleared out as much as I could to get a location of safety to be able to call in my own stratagems and to better support my fellow Helldivers. Once I finally got everything called down and dropped a machine gun sentry to help clear our area, it was slowly starting to clear up for the better. So our main objective at this time was to locate the black box from a downed shuttle and upload that information back to Super Earth. Any other objectives in the area at the time when I landed in, we were blind to. No other information, no knowledge of what else was present in the city and area. Until we cleared out more of this sector, we did not have eyes on anything else at the time. Eventually, one of my fellow Helldivers located the black box, and we moved as a team to the satellite tower to upload the information back to our super destroyers, and for this to be sent back to Super Earth. Info and everything is just so vital to have. One diver had called down a mech suit and was helping clear the masses out from the area. We made sure to do our best to help give them cover, so that way we can keep that suit operational and on the field as long as possible. And just keeping that firepower going through just the masses of fleshed enemies that we were dealing with. It seems recently that the squids were starting to use slightly different tactics. This was the first time that I had ever seen and dealt with massive flesh mobs and everything in the area. So it was new, but I was thankful that I brought along the equipment and weapons that I did for this. In time, we arrived at the tower and began to raise it up and get the data uploaded and sent out to Super Earth. Thankfully, from our point, we had some very good high ground to be able to work with, and I was able to focus the laser cannon out to our enemies, dropping down sentries and just sweeping across the voteless and targeting down weak joint points from harvesters. Super Earth scientists and their engineers were recently able to gather some more equipment and change the laser cannon to give it a stronger range and more of a reach against our enemies. And now that it had this further reach, I absolutely used this to my advantage. But if any enemies or voteless or mobs got too close, that's where the incendiary shotgun still came in handy for me. I was able to blast them at a close range distance and keep them off of my ass and my fellow Helldivers as well, keeping everybody safe as we can. We finally got the data uploaded back to Super Earth. Around this time, another diver had located a cognitive disruptor that was in the area. It was a bit of a distance away, but I could still see the beam of light or plasma that was emanating into the sky from it. We were also dealing with some pretty nasty acid storms on the planet, and our armor was just taking a beating from these storms coming through. But it was also affecting the squids and our enemies as well, which was making them easier and squishier to take out, thankfully. Before heading to the disruptor in the area, we had actually located the SAM site, the surface air missiles and all that. Getting that thing operational was going to help blast those warp ships out of the sky and just keep the area clear for us a lot better. We all moved as a team down there, dropping sentries, and just the machine gun sentry was just massing and cutting through the voteless and the enemies, and my fellow Helldivers had Gatling sentries and other whatever else they brought along. Boy, those things put in some work for us, thank goodness. But we moved through together as a team. We were able to get the terminal activated and got it up and running, and finally got it operational for us. And holy crap, it was just the entire time just fighting off the seemingly endless hordes of enemies just swarming at us. I thank liberty and democracy that my fellow Helldivers were staying strong during this, and we were working as a team and just cutting through everything. We moved toward the next city area together, the city block, fighting off hordes still, and eventually we got to the disruptor. We cleared up the path, dropping down sentries and just focusing fire as best as we could when we had to, especially the flesh mobs. Those fuckers got a lot of health. And when we got to the disruptor, we finally focused down the power supplies that were keeping it activated and running and shut down the tower, now turning it into a scrap of pillar of a metal in the area. The only thing that seemed to be left in the area from this was the last of the enemies and their landed warp ships. There's a cluster to the west of us that was thankfully close to our extraction point too. We pressed forward as a team, just clearing out choke points from voteless and exiting out of the city and moving to the next area, the next block area of the city over. We got to this final base and we were able to wipe it out, all the shuttles, and cleared up this sector of the planet from the foul enemies through this. We pushed toward the extraction and called in our Pelican, ready to all head back to our super destroyers and gather ourselves for another mission. Oh, the enemies pushed on our position hard, but Overseers firing upon us, and the masses of flesh mobs trying to close in. But we held out. Sentries around the perimeter and high ground to our advantage. We got to our Pelican, loaded up, and back to our super destroyers to dive another day.